Hey y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. It's a new day, another opportunity to either make money in the market or to just learn from the market. But let me go ahead and give my disclaimer, y'all. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth. And yes, the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. With that being said, let's get started. So we are looking at the VIX. And what's interesting about the VIX is this is our 4 o'clock candle. 4 o'clock candle, we moved up here. And the next candle, we came up to this 1788. I had around the 1790, which is not that far, right? That's why it's so important, y'all, that we were, mark the support and resistance, because there's a strong possibility that it's going to come back to that area again, right? So we came off of this high back to the downside with the VIX. So as of right now, pre-market support is back in this zone, which is not surprising, right? So back in this zone, support is around 1641. Resistance is around the 1655. Now back to the upside. If by chance we break this 1655, we could possibly have trouble at 1663, 1668, 1672, and this 1682 area. Beyond the 1682, I would watch the $17 range for the VIX. Now, normally when the VIX is up, the SPY is down. I needed to say that again, right? So that's normally. Now, back to the downside. If by chance we break under the 1638, we could find support around 1618, 1609, and around the 1601 area. Now, if we break that 1601, we can come back to this ATR trail and stop around the 1583 area. What's interesting about the VIX is it is an inside day candle. We have already reached the trigger, broke through the trigger and reached the target to the upside, but that does not mean we cannot find support and go back to the upside. Let's say that, right? So back, let's say to the upside, let me go ahead and give the inside day. Above the $17 gave us a target of 1756, and we've already reached 1788 pre-market. Now to the downside, under 1535, we have a downside target for the VIX down here at 1453. So we definitely need to watch the VIX. Again, it kind of gives me an idea of what's going on with the SPY. So let's look at the SPY. I do believe the SPY is also an inside day candle, so that's something to be mindful of. So I always try to say, where are the trouble places? What's interesting, again, this 4 o'clock candle, we saw that the VIX was up. SPY came down in this area, found support. This support area is around that 585.29. So we definitely need to watch this area, 585.29 area for the SPY. We did come down, find support here at this 584.63. So if we break this 585.29, we could very well come back and retest this 584.67. I needed to point that out. And I always try to say, okay, where are the trouble places? I go to my gathering spot, which is here. We have bounced from that back to the upside. Trouble places are, if we continue to the upside, we will need to watch around the 587.20. If we should break that level, 587.61. If we break that 587.61, 588.16, which is not far from this ATR trail, and stop at 588.24. Now, if we break the 588.24, we can very well come back to 588.92. And if we break the 588.92, we could have trouble somewhere around this 589.53. If we break the 589.53, we come back to the 200 EMA at 590.12. So those are going to be trouble places to the upside for the SPY. Now, to the downside, we would need to get back under this 5 EMA around the 586.63. We could possibly find support here at 586.30. And if we break that level, 586.15, 586.08, 585.81, which is not far from 585.74, and under that level, it comes back to the zone that we were in around 585.56. So I would definitely watch the 585.56 area. Under that, 585.29. If we break that area, we can find support again at 585.06, 584.90, 584.67. So those are trouble places for the SPY to the upside and to the downside. Now, what's interesting about the SPY, it is an inside day candle. So the trigger to that back to the upside above 589.53 gives us a target of 590.20, which is kind of close to that 200 EMA. So I would definitely watch that. Now back to the downside. If by chance we break under this level of 585.29, or let's see, 585.34 is the trigger to the downside. If we break that, then the target to the downside is 583.88. So the SPY should be interesting today. If you trade the SPY, trade carefully. I say often, y'all, in the market, anything is possible. Nothing is guaranteed, right? So we are now looking at Tesla. Tesla closed at 338.74. This is our 4 o'clock candle. The high of this candle is 341.30. At 341 is interesting, right? Only to come back to the downside. Gave us a double bottom. Looking at this 30-minute chart, back to a gathering spot here. So I need to remember that area. So I'm going to mark that. And the reason why I say I need to remember it is because price has gathered in this area for a while here. So I definitely need to watch that. This zone here, because that's a strong possibility. If we get rejected here, we can come all the way back to this area. So trouble places for Tesla as of right now, we are finding support in this. All of this is our support area. So I would say our support area is around the 336.68. Resistance is around 338.44. And if we should break that, we had trouble at this ATR trail and stop at 339.15 or 339.16. So we definitely need to get back above that. So continuing to the upside, if we should break the 339.16 area, we could possibly have trouble around 340.73 or 340.67. If we break 340.67, I would definitely watch around the 342.15, and if we break the 342.15, 344.29. If we break the 344.29 for Tesla, we could possibly have trouble here at 346.81. And as you can see, it's just where the body of these candles are here. So that's something to be mindful of. Yes, the wick is important, but the body is where, yes, I pay very close attention to. So those are trouble places for Tesla to the upside. Now to the downside, if by chance we break back under this level, let's say we'll start here at 336.68. We could find support here in this area or this zone at the 333.77, and if we should break that level, I would definitely watch 331.95, which is not far from 331.60. If we lose to 331.60, we can come back to this area here of 330.61. 330.61. Under that, we can find support around 328.33, and if we lose to 328.33 area, 327.47, under 327.47, 325.36. Those are going to be trouble places or support and resistance basically for Tesla. And what's interesting about Tesla is if we go to a higher time frame, which I'm going to look at the 1 hour chart as of right now, Tesla is just really trading in this zone, in this range. And keep in mind, Tesla has made highs, and just because we've made those highs does not mean that we cannot continue climbing. So a lot of people will want to jump in puts to the downside, which is very well may not be the time for that. And with trading, timing is everything, right? So be careful with that. If you're trading Tesla, just pay attention to the charts and make sure that you understand the trend of, you know, how Tesla is trading at this time. So yeah, I wanted to throw that out there, y'all. So if you trade Tesla today, trade carefully. Anything is possible. Nothing is guaranteed. We are now looking at AMD. AMD closed at 138.93. Y'all, this is our gathering spot. This is our zone here. 4 o'clock candle here. Look where prices just gathered here. So as of now, 138.60 is a support area. We have resistance in this area. So I'm going to say if we break back above 139.11, we could very well have, you know, trouble in that area. And if we should break that level, we could very well have trouble here in this zone, which is around 139.65. If we break that area, we could find trouble again at 139.60. And how I'm finding those is if I put a line here where the body of these candles are, and kind of like this area of where price is here, it's kind of in the same area. So I would definitely watch the 139.54 or the 139.70. So between that area, if we break the 139.70, we could possibly have trouble at 140.01. And if we break that 140.01 area, which is the ATR trail and stop, we could very well come back and have trouble around the 140.41 or the 140.52. So those are upside or resistance areas for AMD as of right now. Back to the downside, if we should break under this level of 138.14, we could very well find support at 137.69, 137.23, 136.58, and if we break that 136.58, I would definitely watch the area of 136.21. Under that, we can come back to 136.02, and if we break the 136.02, 135.54. So if you trade AMD today, those are places to the upside and to the downside that I would definitely be mindful of. Now we are looking at NVDA. NVIDIA is interesting, right? I do believe we got some earnings to report soon, so I would be careful trading NVIDIA. As of now, 140.15 is where we closed. And this is yesterday's candle, 148.18, which is interesting that I had the 140.10. We made a high of 148.18. That's interesting, right? So as of now, I always try to start with where are the trouble places. And let's see, this is our 4 o'clock candle. NVIDIA's just been trading sideways and not really moving. So you have to be careful with that. And you don't want to be caught on the wrong side of that, you know, with earnings. So where are the trouble places? As of now, to the upside, 142.42 is going to be a trouble place. Could be a trouble place. Let me rephrase that. 142.90, 143.08, which is the 200 EMA, 143.32. Now, if we break the 143.32, which is interesting, I need to get that off, right? So if we break the 143.32 area, we could possibly have trouble around 144.59, 145.39, 145.76, 146.27. Those are going to be places to the upside that we could possibly find resistance for a NVIDIA. What is interesting is what caused this. So I definitely will watch, and you know, it trying to make its way back to that 148.18. It would not surprise me to see us back at that place. So back to the downside for NVIDIA, 141.42. If we should break under that level, we can find support around the 141.20. Under that, 140.90, 140.68, 140.42, 140.08, and it's really close to this ATR trailing stop that's forming around the 139.62. So those are going to be trouble places for NVIDIA to the upside and to the downside. And what's interesting is it looks like it's trying to climb its way. This is the 1 hour. It looks like it's trying to make its way back to the upside. Again, that 148 area would not be surprising to see that again for NVIDIA soon. So if you trade NVIDIA today, y'all know I always say trade carefully. Anything is possible. Nothing is guaranteed. We are looking now at Amazon. Amazon is an inside day candle. And the trigger to that, if it breaks above the 204.87, we have an upside target of 207.47. To the downside, under $200.89 gives us a downside target of $199.50. Amazon is trading in this zone here, so pre-market, I would definitely watch this area of 201.27 as support. Resistance around 201.67. So that is our zone that it is currently trading in. So if you trade Amazon, it is an inside day candle. Trade carefully. Devon Energy is also an inside day candle. Let's see, if we break above 39.17, we have an upside target for Devon at around 39.74. To the downside, if we break under 38.50, we have a downside target of 38.34, and Devon 2 is trading in this zone here. Pre-market support is around 38.64, and resistance, we're going to say, is right at that 5 EMA, so it's around 38.68. It too is trading in a very tight zone here. So if you trade Devon, it is an inside day candle. Trade carefully. Path is an inside day candle. Let's say above $12.59 gives us an upside target of $12.67. Under $12.29 gives us a downside target of $12.19. So if you trade Path today, it is an inside day candle. Pfizer PFE is also an inside day candle today. Above 25.25 gives us a target of 25.73. To the downside, under 24.68 gives us a downside target of 24.46. So if you trade PFE or Pfizer, it is an inside day candle. The QQQ is also an inside day candle today. To the upside, above 502.12 gives us 503.56 as a target. To the downside, under 496.73 gives us a downside target of 494.62. QQQ is an inside day candle, as well as SQQQ. It is an inside day candle above 3507, gives us a target of 35.54, and if we should break under 33.92, downside target is 33.80. So if you trade QQQ or SQQQ, it is an inside day candle. So again, we are looking at the SPY. Looks like SPY got a little rejected here. Found back to the downside. It's trying to make its way back, let's say, right? So I would say y'all trade carefully today. Again, I hope these videos are very, very helpful. I hope that everyone have a very profitable and a very productive day today. If you could please like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, because we learn and we grow together. So until next time, y'all be blessed as well as a blessing unto others.